Good morning, dear friends. Today is day number 96 of our run/exercise, and today's hero we're dedicating to his life, I think, and his motto summarize many of the people that we dedicate our runs to, and the time really elucidates the time of the writers that we've spoken about. He was also a writer, received the Nobel Prize in 1953 for his writing about World War II. He was also a pretty good landscape painter, but he's most famous for his role as Prime Minister. We're talking about Winston Churchill, died at the age of 90, was born in 1874, died in 1965. Actually on the same day, 70 years before, when his father died, although at a much younger age of 45. So the motto I think that he adhered to, and we should remember, I'm trying to be fast because we have only 60 seconds usually when you save it over to Facebook, is that failure, yes, it should start with success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to go on, to continue, that counts. His first speech as a prime minister was in May 13, 1940. When he took on the helm of the party and spoke at the Commons House. 600 people were sitting in the audience. Many doubted that Britain could survive the war, not to mention win it against Hitler. And he faced them with the words, "What do I have to offer you?" And he says, I would sum it in one word: victory. Victory at all costs, because without victory, there is no survival. And the famous speech is the same speech. He would basically prepare for every 1 minute of his speech. He would prepare for an hour. So if you would imagine he would give a 30-minute speech, it took him 30 hours to prepare. He was practically an actor, and he had an amazing ability to memorize those speeches. He go back a little bit. Let's see. So he was the eldest. He had another brother, Jack, who was younger than him. And his mother was an American. Father was a British a rich lord. And he was sent away to school and was raised really by his nanny. When he wrote his autobiography, he spoke that his mother was like a distant star to be admired from afar. And his father was in a similar way. He was constantly in boarding schools, which he hated. He didn't do well in math. And when he was given the role to be in charge of the cabinet of the money, he actually indeed felt he didn't do too well. In one of the most famous boys' schools he was sent to, before he entered, 6 or 5 of the people who were graduates from this school, Harrow School, it's called in England, made it to making at the same time with Ross. Or he became prime ministers of England, and at that time it was the Victorian era. Britain basically accounted for 1/4 of the lands in. Good morning, Russ. Very well, very well. We're waiting for Steven, or? Okay, no, I get it. All right. Do you want to stretch first, or we go? Yeah, I'm ready. So today's man is Winston Churchill. Finally, the guy we spoke about yesterday a little bit during our run. So I was just saying that he was born to the Victorian era, when Britain lands accounted to about 1/4 of the land masses. I mean, we're not talking about the oceans. And they said at that time about the British Empire that the sun never sets on the British Empire. Anyway, he was at Harrow School, which I was saying it was boys' school where he had to live, and he was he was there and didn't do well in school. But what he did do well is he became the champion of Harrow in fencing. And then just brief little pearls, when he met his wife Clementine, who was also from a wealthy family. He was so shy because he was balding and gaining weight. He loved food and alcohol. So she said he was just staring at me. It was a very awkward moment. He was so shy, he didn't approach the doctor. But a year or two later, they got married.
I guess he had a few drinks and he loosened up.
Yeah. So that's one thing. And he was quite a different father than his. He would give the kids a bath. He would stay with them or read to them. He was a different father, different parent than his parents were. And became a hero during the war, where he was first sent as a soldier at the age of 19 to Cuba, where he was writing for the newspaper about their war in Cuba. He was also commander of the horses, Gvardia, I don't know what's it called. Yeah, cavalry, thank you. And he got to love his cigars at that time. He's famous for holding those cigars. And interesting, he wanted to get into the military academy, but just like his motto I told people about earlier, he failed twice. He couldn't get in until the third time. He just didn't give up. But then when he went in there were 150 people in his class. He ended up being the 8th. He got the 8th place in his class, which proved that when he was doing something he loved, he was doing well. Because in his high school, he was not doing well in his subjects. So anyway, he became a hero during the Boer War in South Africa. The British were fighting over the control of South Africa with the Dutch. And over there, he went to save a British train that was ambushed by the Boers, and he was caught, imprisoned, and ran away from a bathroom window, kind of like in the movie with the blood sport, where Jean-Claude Van Damme runs away. he came home, became a hero, and decided to utilize the opportunity, and he ran for office with the Conservative Party, and he won election. But then finally found he didn't really like the ideas of the Conservative Party because they were not talking about the little person, and he wanted to help everyone as well, not only the people of the Conservative Party were really fighting for, which was for the rich people. Anyway, he was World War I, he was given the position of admiralty, and he was in charge of the most, the largest, what's it called, fleet in the world. Thank you. And not enough sleep to remember. Simple words, here we go. And he sent 15 ships to attack Turkey, and boy, it was horrible. They basically drowned all the ships. 2 of them were out of commission. Many died in there. Can't see the ground. There's a hole over there. But the most important thing is that we get up even if we fall. So he was destroyed. There were, just in that time, there were about 250,000 people who died, and he went to Safka. He left and retired, and went to himself, volunteered to go into the war. For about almost 6 months he was in the trenches. And the trenches, just to give you an idea, there were, if you put them all together, all the trenches that were dug, there were about 26 miles of trenches between the British, French, and here are yesterday's obstacle course. And they were filled with water, about knee high. There were rats there. People were getting infections. Trench foot, right? By the way, that's when the Italian invented Castellani's paint, which, funny, I still use till today for infection between the toes, which is a fungal infection between the toes that causes bacteria, can come through it and cause cellulitis erosion infection. So it's important to take care of it. It's a little hard, guys, if you're watching it, to run, because we have here an obstacle course and it's dark, difficult to see. Anyway, but just like Churchill, we're offering you victory at all costs. Yes, because without it there is no survival. So he fought over there, and later on, as you know, they thought World War I was the war to end all wars. There were 17 million killed. America entered in 1917. If you remember, we spoke about Ernest Hemingway, who went in the Italian front, got wounded, got the silver medal. Spoke about him 2 prior times before. Jack London died in 1916, so before America entered the war. Remember, he died from a skin condition called yaws. And Charlie Chaplin, just like Churchill, he predicted that Hitler is going to go against his word. Neville Chamberlain, who was the prime minister before World War II, did not heed Churchill's warnings he signed the Munich Agreement, which Netanyahu constantly talks about when he talks about United Nations trying to sacrifice Israel to the Arabs, because Britain sacrificed Czechoslovakia in that agreement to Hitler. They shook hands in 1938, allowing them to take Czechoslovakia as long as he promised not to enter other countries. Well, we know what he did. 1939, he went against his word, entered Poland, and soon later he entered, even though he made a pact with Stalin, he entered in 41. Was it 40 or 41? He entered Russia. 41, okay. He entered June 22nd. He entered Russia. And then he went with Franklin Roosevelt. They were talking about being together, but Roosevelt, although he gave money, weapons, he didn't commit any troops, as we know, until Pearl Harbor took place in 41, when the Japanese part of the Axis of Evil, together with Italy, entered. But his most telling times were, as I said, after Neville Chamberlain in 1940. He abdicated, he gave up his position and was replaced as the Prime Minister by Winston Churchill. And France, together with Britain, announced war against Germany, but soon he entered and took control of other countries. France, within 6 weeks, also sued for peace. Britain was left alone, but they would not give up. For almost 2 months straight, they bombed, but he did not leave London during the Blitz, although they sent their families to the countryside, which the story, the Narnia Chronicles, actually talks about that time during World War II and the Blitz, as the kids are being sent away. And he would give these speeches to the public who listened through the radios and gave them the power. But interestingly, as soon as the war was gone, over, election time was there, Britain didn't have much money, and despite them loving him, they did not elect him. They did not elect him. And he went to the US giving lectures, and later on John F. Kennedy, sweat and tears, and that's what Russ and I have to offer, except, thank God, hopefully no blood, but toil and tears and sweat as we run our obstacle course. Well, that's again life. So the main thing is, as he said, is to remember that victory, success is not final, just like his life showed. And failure is not fatal. It is the courage to go on that counts. So have a lovely day and don't give up despite any obstacles. Thank you for running with us. Let me close this.